Oh hey, appropriate theme music. Hey everyone, welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. This is the captain of the Max and Shireen bandwagon speaking, and I have some bad news. We've got 3 flat tires, we're going down a steep mountain, we're in a snowstorm, we're going through a field of landmines, and we might end up in a lake filled with sharks with laser beams on their heads. Might want to put on your seatbelts, folks, is what I'm saying. This is going to be a tough week. Andy, do you want to throw some salt in my wounds?
Not yet. There's plenty of time for that. I'm concerned about you as a human being, John. Obviously, people who follow us on our different social platforms have kind of fallen the descent of John and the moods that you've been in, but not everybody does that. Some of our listeners are listener exclusives, and for them, I want to know, how you doing?
Not gonna lie, last night was a tough episode. I did pour out the appropriate amount of liquor. I'll see Max at the crossroads and all that. And I'm sure you noticed, and for anybody who followed us on Twitter, I'm sure they noticed I was live tweeting last night because Probst was hyping this series of episodes up, saying it's gonna be so amazing. And I'm ashamed of myself, basically, because I should know by now that if Probst loves something on Survivor, it's because bros are doing bro things. He's not excited for some alpha nerds or for Shireen doing well. I'm really disappointed in myself for not seeing this. So, bros end up on the bros tribe. One of the mouthy women folk gets voted out, and they send home the big, educated PhD nerd. So it's probably some Probst boner fest, but that's not something that I'm gonna be excited about. And like I said, just disappointed I didn't see that one coming.
Well, to be fair, it's not the first thing you didn't see coming this season. This is what the kind of the experience of this podcast has been so far for me this season, because I gave you just about as much time to talk about yourself as I could do. You know how when one of your friends is dating somebody new and you don't really like them, and this where it breaks down a bit, because I also, liked Max and Shireen, more so from observers of Survivor than necessarily players of Survivor. But you don't want to say anything. And so you try and you drop little things like, hey, do you think that's kind of a thing? Just try to gauge the reaction. And that's kind of what it's been. It's like, whoa, you're really into this person you've seen 90 seconds of footage of, or...
Yeah, you don't want to poke the bear too hard, basically.
Yeah, and I've just been kind of prodding, seeing, like, hey, do you think it's time now we should start talking about people as they've been doing on the show as opposed to what we thought about them? Hey, do you think it's interesting that Max seems to be such good with friends with Vince? And maybe...
I should have been tipped off, maybe, you're saying?
Just a few of those things, and it was clear the whole way. It's like, no, he's not in the place to talk about it, and I don't want to blow up our friendship. So now what's going to happen tonight is I'm going to make the classic mistake: is as soon as that couple gets into a bit of a fight, you're like, oh, thank God, and you just tell them all the things you've been thinking all along, and then they get back together, and you'll never.
Oh yes, and then we're going to hate you so much. Max and Shireen and I are going to ride off into the sunset, and we're going to be like, F*** Andy.
It's possible, but you know what? I gotta keep it 100. I'm that guy right now. It's like, where I'll just be a jerk, but you know what? I'm just keeping it real.
Alright, thanks, Rodney. You know what's funny? So you mentioned the being nice thing. Like, I was fully expecting, when I'm live tweeting, because it was very clear towards the end of the episode what was gonna happen.
Oh yeah, there was no misdirection on that one.
Yeah, so I was expecting everyone to just jump in on me and just start taunting me, throwing it in my face. I was expecting this. I'm like, alright, I know it's coming. Fine, I'll check the replies, see what I'm getting, and just be like, oh god, this is terrible. But people were like, oddly nice. They were like concerned, like, are you okay? Everything alright? like my dog had just died or something.
Yeah. It's been the social experience of everybody walking up to you at the office at the get of the head tilt and like, how you doing?
Yeah. Are you alright, buddy? Like, it was not at all what I was expecting. I mean, it's the internet. Where were all of you assholes? Why were you not piling on me? Our followers are too nice.
Yeah, well, that's it. Our people, the people that have, engaged with us in social media that listen to the show, we're probably also somewhat invested in the success of Max and Shireen. We said it in the, preseason that these are the people that are most like us. And now we get to talk this episode about how uncomfortable that mirror is going to be for us.
You thought it was bad with Spencer, huh?
Yeah. So I think, I don't know how excited any of them were to lose it either. And, I think people have enjoyed your enthusiasm. Some of it has been, I think, a construct. You've been playing a bit of a character, playing it up. But much like the existence of this podcast itself, I think you started this is a fun joke, and then you were in.
I pretty much put all my chips to the center of the table. I'm like, you know what? This is not an act. I love these people. I'm all in.
So I think that was that. And you know what? It just shows that the people, and this is no surprise to us, the people who listen to our show are nicer people than we are.
Yeah, that's a low bar though.
Well, one thing, as the pouring the salt in the wounds, just a funny thing that I feel like I gotta get it out now, because soon the time will come where we can just laugh about this, is, you like to, as often as you can, mention the fact that in the very first time we introduced the 0% Club, I inducted Tony. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say that perhaps that isn't quite as big a faux pas as turning our entire social presence into, the propaganda arm of two of the worst players of the season.
Oh, how dare you!
I kind of feel like James in Micronesia right now, after Eric gives up the idol, just like, I'm no longer the dumbest.
I mean, you're just completely leaving Nina and Vince out of the conversation. Is that what's happening here?
Yes. I am.
Okay.
This wasn't Nina's fault. Those people were prejudiced against deaf people.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah. Silly me. And for the record, if you guys thought that I was somehow going to abandon the propaganda machine, no. I'm redoubling. I'm going even harder.
With the ship. It's very admirable, Captain of the Titanic.
That's right. Screw that iceberg.
But I am going to do my best to distance yourselves. Like, you guys can say all the condolences to John you want, but let's make that not plural. Cause me, I'm okay with it. I'm okay to get back to the business of discussing what's actually happening on Survivor. Even though, apparently I actually had Max in a fantasy league as my only player. I kind of forgot about that.
Not anymore, you don't.
No, that's alright. I'm turning it around. I'm gonna win it all with Elise. No wait, that's not a person.
No.
Haley. But you know what? There'll be plenty of time to talk about Shireen's dismissal. Start taking your notes, because I don't think it's going to take too long. But let's talk about Max. We'll start with the last boot first, because really that's what people want to talk about.
Yeah, no one's tuning in to hear our thoughts on Lindsay going home.
No, we'll have one or two, maybe even three, but probably not. But Max, why did he suck so much at Survivor?
Alright. Again, I'm not abandoning this bandwagon, so I'm gonna fight you on this. I'm not certain that Max sucked at Survivor, and here's my case.
Alright.
Carolyn didn't like him, and her confessional was that everyone was drinking the Max Kool-Aid. And, hey, guilty as charged, because I drank an Olympic-sized swimming pool of it. But you don't say that about someone that people dislike. Max was clearly liked, that's why she thinks that everybody's drinking the Max Kool-Aid. So, I don't think he sucks at Survivor. I think, for some reason, he rubs Carolyn the wrong way, because she is Queen of the Wet Blankets, and I think Carolyn probably dislikes Shireen. The Wet Blankets, as a general group, dislike Shireen. But I don't think
when you talk about the group of Wet Blankets that are annoyed by Shireen, are you talking about everybody on Survivor that isn't Max?
Obviously. Basically anybody who doesn't like Shireen or Max is a wet blanket. How is this not clear to you by now?
So there's this thing on Justified where he was like, you meet somebody as an asshole, he's an asshole. But once everybody you meet is an asshole, maybe it's you that it's the asshole.
That brings to mind another favorite quote of mine, which is, the only common thread in all of your relationship failures is you.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I'm willing to concede that maybe the Wet Blankets, and in this particular instance, I'm talking about Joaquin, Tyler, and Carolyn, maybe they don't like Shireen. I don't think that's the case with Max. I think Carolyn is the only one that doesn't like Max, and even then, I don't know that she dislikes him. I think it's kind of that she's... jealous is probably not the right word, but let's go with jealous. She's jealous of the fact that Max has this sway over these people and that because she calls him a cult leader.
Yeah, I think one thing that we could probably agree on is Carolyn isn't the best with the metaphors and all of that. Because, yes, as you say, it would suggests that he has lots of followers, and I think his follower count is like 1.
How dare you? It was all of them, Andy. Even the walking erection Joaquin.
He and Tyler had a decent relationship, I think. But there's still footage of Tyler saying, yeah, okay, I'll vote out Max. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. And, yeah, they go to a whole new tribe where Carolyn had yet to have the sway that she apparently had in the white collar tribe, and those people didn't really like him either. When I was talking about how I was easing in with, a few red flags here or there, and then let's quickly change the subject.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Max really seemed to enjoy his alone time was, I think, probably the biggest one, that the story that they were telling early in the season.
Fair. I will concede that one.
And I think, the harshness of my question of why does Max suck in Survivor, clearly designed to upset you.
It worked. Mission accomplished. Hang your banner.
I think it's that. It's the social game. When we talk about the social game, always, because it is the game, right? That's the key to Survivor success. But in many ways, it's not a game at all, I'm sure Max knew full well the import of the social game. I'm sure he would even think about it. But it's not really something you can fake if you don't have. I think, the social game is just your ability to get along with people. It's, the personal charisma you have at forming bonds. And
yeah, let me tell you from first-person experience, you cannot pretend to be good at talking to people.
Oh, no, yeah, exactly. Like, it's watching this episode especially and doing some personal reflection of my own, realized I can probably stop talking about me being good at Survivor. Now, I do okay sometimes in social situations. I did better probably 10 years ago. And now it's like, I don't know if I would annoy people to the degree that Max and Shireen clearly did from every bonus footage of every person they interacted with. But I probably just wouldn't make any connections at all. Like, that's more my MO. And it's just like, I don't think you can fake it. You can have somebody say, I gotta be better at the social game, and then be Rodney talking horrible things about women, and then in the next confessional say, it's all about social game, man. It's bro. He probably said bro. And I think that's just it. He just doesn't gel with people like this in this situation. And it's probably similar for Shireen, who I will still allow, I think is probably a pretty cool person, and more importantly, our kind of person. But clearly, in the strained environment of Survivor, she was annoying.
Well, let me get you back on my side for at least this point. As amazing people, like you and I are, you know that it's sometimes hard to talk to people who aren't as amazing as you are, which is why you just don't talk to them, right?
Yes. And if you weren't playing a game where it was important, like, this is probably why I'm not in a high position at my job currently. Like, I do not play the social game well in my day-to-day life. Now Max actually is a fairly successful person in that respect, but
it's so Shireen.
Oh, incredibly successful, although she might just be so accomplished that it just doesn't matter, right? But again, Survivor social game and real social game aren't quite as compatible. But yeah, I mean, I think this basic flaw is he struggled to connect with people. There's a bonus scene of Kelly talking about how arrogant he was. And that's like 3 days in. I doubt he actually was being that arrogant. In his own exit interviews, he said he tried to take a step back to not seem arrogant. But on a certain level in Survivor, you are who you are. And I think with the greats, that gets underrated. Everybody just talks about Parvati as a sex bot or whatever, but you watch her now. You watch her just interact with, like, Rob on the live show or anything. It's like she just has a way with people. That's all it is,
yep.
And that's, we talk about the social game and you got to work your social game. There's parts of it that you can have. You got to remember to reconnect with these people all the time and not to ostracize these people and all of that. But some of it's just, how are you with people?
All right. Well, I'm going to improvise a crazy theory here for you. This is totally going to be stereotyping, but consider the people that the white-collar tribe typically works with. Max and Shireen probably work with a much more well-educated, I guess, intellectual type of person. I don't know necessarily where Carolyn works. She might be close to that. But I'm guessing Tyler and Joaquin don't swim in that pool, if you follow me.
I actually think Joaquin works like in the medical profession, like marketing for it. His get to know Joaquin thing kept like auto playing at the end of videos I was watching, so I only caught like the first 10 seconds and like shut up.
It's like the 7th level of hell. So I've met people that are in the medical marketing field, and I'm going to go ahead and stand by my previous statement.
So then, do you think there's a thing as being too smart for Survivor?
I think that you just get used to interacting with a certain type of person or in a certain way. And once you've got that pattern established for so long, maybe 10 years ago, Max and Shireen and Carolyn were, different people, and they could have much more easily related to, Tyler or Joaquin, so those types of people. And they're just not there anymore. I mean, you and I are probably the same way. Like, we don't want to we wouldn't even talk to, 22-year-old us, much less any other random 22-year-old.
I've been at my new job for, 3 months now. I've talked to like 4 people. I have a desk that's kind of in the corner. I can just do my own thing. So yeah, I mean, that was what I was saying. 10 years ago, I think actually I would have been better at Survivor because, you're young and just meeting people is written into your DNA for, wanting to meet people to sleep with. And now I'm like, I'm good, I'm just who I am, and, I don't need to change for people anymore. It's one of the underrated advantages of, relationships and such.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's a fun little piece of pop psychology and all of that, but at the same time, I'm interested in the failures of the player who got voted out, less so the failures of everybody they interacted with.
Why must you keep steering me back down this path?
People told me to. It's not even me.
Don't you see me fighting you?
But you know what? I think a more interesting discussion, and it's a little unfortunate that, RHAP already beat us to this one, but what do they know?
I didn't listen to it, so don't worry, I won't.
Exactly.
If I'm repeating a point, it's entirely coincidental.
I had already planned to talk about this before I heard it. Max was clearly a super fan. Wow. So hold the presses. In fact, like in the preseason, one of the things we liked about him is like, he's a fan like us, and now I'm willing to concede I am nowhere on his level.
No.
Both positively and negatively. I'm not going to be too critical of that because, this glass house can only take so much punishment, but like, I'm literally spending a Thursday evening talking about Survivor as somebody on the other side of the country.
Sure.
So obviously I am more than the average person, probably anybody I know IRL.
And just to clarify your geography, I'm not on the other side of the country, Andy. I'm in a different country than you.
For now. But yeah, but he's on another sphere altogether.
Yeah.
So yes, he is a super fan. Shireen is a super fan.
Clearly.
Nobody will dispute either. Is being a super fan, like, a hindrance in Survivor? Is there such a thing as being too big a fan?
You know what's weird, and I think Max kind of shines a spotlight on this for me. I don't think there's a very large sample size of super fans on this show.
Like at that level, yes.
So off the top of your head, who would you say is a super fan of this show that has been on it?
So obviously you got Cochran, Spencer, okay. Rob C. from back in the day, probably Josh and Reed maybe.
Okay. Here's where I'm going to dispute you. I think those people have probably seen all the seasons of Survivor. I don't think that makes them a fan quite on Max's level. It's kind of like, to use the sports analogy, maybe I watch football every weekend, but, I'm not checking box scores. I'm not keeping track of the standings. It's just something fun that's on, so I watch it and I like it, and then I forget about it the next day. That's kind of the level that I see that Josh and Reed are at. I don't see those people you mentioned going on comment boards and, reading various things on the internet.
You don't think Spencer was on comment boards?
So Spencer's the exception. I would probably say Spencer fits in that group. The one thing that you didn't mention, and God, I hate myself for bringing this up, Colton is in that group.
Yeah, and I think Cochran is easily on that group. Look, if you want to say they're not on Max's level, it's possible that very few people are. I mean, he literally taught a class on it, right? But if you just even put it to the Shireen level, or our level, I think those, there's people of that group. And I do think that it's not maybe the best thing. I think they get maybe just a little too amped up to be there. You could say, oh no, look, Cochran won and Spencer did really well. Yeah, Cochran won the second time. When he's playing with other people that are at that point fairly reasonably, have a good understanding of Survivor.
And really, he wasn't playing against 19 other people. He was playing against 10.
Yeah. Or 9, I guess.
9, yeah, right.
Miss Cherry was a big threat. His first season, he was as big a disaster as these two are.
This is very true, yes. Perhaps more so.
Spencer was forced into not being the kind of player he thought he would be by, sucking so hard at the beginning or being on a tribe that did so. So he didn't really get to Superfan out that way. Interestingly, in the discussion on Know-It-Alls, Rob C was like, my first season I was, but, it's only 5 seasons in. It was kind of a novelty, so people didn't mind. In All-Stars, he was the Superfan, annoying the hell out of everybody on his tribe about this stuff. So he could relate. Now, being a Superfan fan doesn't necessarily mean that you will annoy people with your constant yammering about Survivor, as apparently is what was happening this season. But I think that maybe it leads to an overthinking of things. That maybe one of the best qualities you can have in Survivor is to just do it. Don't think it through that much. We thought that Tony had thought through everything, but a lot of times he's just kind of like, I just kind of did that because it was the idea at the time, and I changed my mind at this point. And he thought things through that night, but he didn't come to the island with a game plan or anything like that.
Right. And I think that's kind of important too. You don't plan too far ahead because situations can change and you don't want to get too invested in a plan. But I think the fandom thing can be useful. It just has a much more limited use than superfans think it will. Like you said, your social skills are the main tool that you need above anything and everything else. You need to be able to talk to people. It doesn't matter if you're talking to them about a vast knowledge of Survivor history. You just need to be able to talk to people. So obviously a Survivor podcaster would be a great contestant for the show.
Obviously. They should have one next season.
But just in general, it's not necessarily a hindrance, but it's also not a huge help.
Yeah.
I don't think it pushes the needle too far in either direction.
And a lot of other people were pointing this out, maybe it was to Max and Shireen's disadvantage that they found somebody like them to talk about
exactly,
Survivor
because it outs you, You can be the Cochran superfan, and you can kind of hide it. I mean, he clearly
didn't
hid his religious beliefs when he had to come back, or when he played in South Pacific, so he could have easily hidden his love of Survivor too. But it's hard when you connect with someone and you're very passionate about a subject and you want to talk about it. What are you gonna do? Just not, if I'm on an island with you for 30 days, am I gonna not bring up the fact that we both love Survivor? It's really hard to do that. What else are we gonna talk about?
Yeah, but to your point, it's you can love Survivor, but maybe you can't love Survivor, It's hey, it's cool, somebody I can talk fantasy football with, and then it's oh god, will this guy shut up about fantasy football? I'm really not that interested.
I've had that happen at a party before, I play fantasy football too, and then it led to 30 minutes later, and I'm okay, well, I didn't really want to know your whole fantasy team, so thanks.
Or you and I, again, clearly, Survivor nerds, look at what we're doing. Look at what we've expended a lot of information. But we also know that when we're among the public, we don't really talk about it. There are many people in my life that have no idea that I enjoy the show called Survivor. And I'm sure that's true of, Shireen at least, maybe not Max. Cause it's kind of his deal.
Yeah. Kind of a badge.
Yeah, so then once they finally found somebody, it's and everybody else must be into it too because they're here and, a lesson for everybody out there. No, they're really not that into it. They might be just more into themselves or, their current surroundings or that sort of thing.
Right.
But it's just more of take Max and Shireen out of the equation. It's just, I think that you can just know too much and just paralyze yourself with analysis or just overplay everything. And then I guess to bring him back in, maybe that's a bit of what Max is doing. It's like, oh, I know that in this part that production would really like it if I did this, so I'm just going to do it. And then he forgot the part about forming the social bonds or whatever. Or it's like, oh, me and Shireen are having such a great discussion about strategy, and it's going to look awesome when I say this thing. And meanwhile, everybody's in the shelter talking about how annoying you are.
He actually did mention, Max did, in his pre-season interview, like, oh, you know, I'm the Survivor professor, so I'm sure that people are going to be just anxious to see my downfall. And I wonder if he was thinking when he said that one of those people would be hosting Tribal Council.
Yeah. Maybe he had a feeling that this was the role he was cast to play.
Right.
Yeah, about him being the Survivor professor. Clearly, not giving the editors, a petard to hoist you with was not part of the syllabus, right? Like, it said everything you're not supposed to say. No, I mean, I'm in great position. I can't wait to go to Tribal Council. Oh, we're finally playing Survivor.
Oh, God. And
it was worse than what they showed. There's more bonus footage of him laying it on.
Oh, no, really?
He knows. He knows. And I think he was just like, I don't know. Either I'm going to be on this way or I'm going to be on that way. Maybe he was giving just as many of the, hero quotes. And he's just like, I am going to make it part of the edit.
Well, we know, we've discussed before, like, everyone at some point in the game, or like 80-90% of the people in the game, will probably have some cocky, confident sounding quote. And they just store that thing, and then they bring it out when it's your time to go home. So you look like the idiot who feels really confident. So I actually think that quote was pretty clearly in the time frame of this episode.
Yes, I think it was a live shot with people in the shelter in front of him.
Right.
I think there was a 2-shot. It's like, yeah, this isn't a Frankenbite. This isn't them, somebody hedging a quote like, oh yeah, I feel pretty good, but you never know, and they're just like chopping that last part off. No, he was tempting the Survivor gods.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that quote, I'm like, well, death knell. It's been real, Max. I'm gonna miss you.
Yeah, I mean, the nice part about that is at least gave you some time to adjust. It wasn't a hard thing. Tribal Council was a foregone conclusion at that.
It was, yeah.
Well, speaking of that, should it have been? Forget whether they should have voted off Max or Shireen. I would say, no. Yeah, obviously, nobody liked them. Should it have been Shireen instead of Max?
Okay. This is going to pain me deeply. I'm a little confused as to why it wasn't Shireen. Mm-hmm. I think I have a theory on why it wasn't. And that's because Carolyn kind of felt that Max was running the show, if you will. Mm-hmm. At the very least, he had, Shireen devoted to him, or whatever terms that she ridiculously used. So I'm thinking the expectation was that she thought maybe with Max gone, then she could tolerate working with Shireen. Maybe. That's the only reason that I can think of, because if you're just going from a bland, retro Survivor physical standpoint, I don't know why you get rid of what is probably easily your most athletic male, because you only have 2 choices, in a tribe where the other tribe is all males except for Sierra. Mm-hmm. So it was a little confusing, and like I said, that's the only solution I can come up with as to why it was Max and not Shireen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the complete imbalance probably in some ways just made it easier. It's like, is it really going to matter? Like, anything based on strength, Max ain't going to make the difference. You're just going to get pounded. So, and It's kind of like what happened in Caramoan. Max brought up One World, but I actually think Caramoan might be the better example. Take that, Survivor Professor. Where, it was like all the athletic people on the one tribe, Malcolm and his bros, Andrea, all of that, Brenda. Yep. And then, Cochran and the losers on the other side. And it's just like, I think they did vote out the most athletic people first, Beardo and race car driver, Vanilla, Matt Bischoff, and
no, don't even say the names. It's funnier without them.
Because it's like, who cares? We're gonna lose, and losing these people doesn't really matter. Like, if voting out Max means they have to go back to Tribal Council in 3 days to vote out Shireen, I don't think they're really gonna lose too much sleep over it. In fact, maybe they'll gain some. Yes, I think it was Carolyn's move. I do. I think it was just like in Cagayan, where they are wooing somebody over to their side. In that case, it was Cass, and it's just like Cass wanted it to be Sarah, so it's Sarah. I think
basically call your shot. If you're coming to our alliance, all yours, whoever you want.
Yeah, and like I think there was probably discussions, but it was kind of like, I want to vote out both of them. They're both annoying. Yeah, Jen wasn't the only one to make the quote of, that it's, who's the most annoying now? Although she never actually said hashtag photo finish. Everybody says that in the bonus footage. It's like, we can't decide which one. We want to vote out more. So at that point, it might have been like, hey, Carolyn, who do you feel want to vote out? And she's like, it's got to be Max. It's more dangerous. Because of, her thoughts of that. But also, for Carolyn's benefit, it could be because she knows that Max has a relationship with Tyrone Joaquin. How strong a one, we don't know. But Shireen doesn't at all. So, there's no threat to Shireen taking Carolyn's spot in a merge situation. I think Carolyn probably found resistance to the idea of voting out Max in the White Collar tribe, and now there is no resistance at all. So, I mean, we don't have the evidence. But I do feel like they let that be Carolyn's call. And whether or not it was the right move, I don't think it makes that big a difference. I think they're going to lose challenges anyway, and I don't think it matters. Like, if you're Jen, Haley, and Vince, what do you really care if you lose every challenge between now and the merge?
You mean Will?
Will, yes. Vince, he wants them to lose every challenge, but, if you have to vote out Shireen, and then vote out Kelly, and then vote out Carolyn, it's really not that big. Well, I mean, voting out Carolyn actually would be a lot of skin off their backs, but they don't know that.
Right.
Because at that point, she has an idol.
Yes.
So, Carolyn, your favorite Survivor player.
Oh, Queen of the Wet Blankets.
Yes. Well, in Max's exit interview with Rob, he talked about how she had RBF. That's why they couldn't read when she was upset about her, and that would translate as resting bitch face. So that's Carolyn. So she flipped. Should she have? Was that a good move for her?
I don't know. I mean, because we have the advantage of seeing that Max and Shireen clearly thought that Carolyn was loyal to them and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So she had a solid 3. Theoretically, the safe move is to pull in either Will or Kelly, mm-hmm. and then you've got a safe majority, and you're probably near the top of that pecking order. Flipping over, she's moving into, at best, a 4th place spot. So you're taking a big risk. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you realize that you might be a target if you don't do it, then yes, do it. Because at least you're going to save yourself for a little while longer, and then maybe things shake out differently. But it's a risk. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'd say it's conditional. If she knew, maybe through conversation, maybe through vibe, that Kelly really wasn't coming to them, because it kind of sounds like Kelly really wasn't going to come to them. Then yeah, absolutely. Save your own skin. You don't even like these people. Bail, bail, bail. Whereas if Kelly was truly up for grabs, even if you don't like them, even if, you can't stand them, why surrender that power? Now, I was gonna say, I don't think it worked out that well for Cass, but I mean, she almost made the final too, so I guess that was probably the best possible outcome for Cass, so maybe it did work out just fine. And I kind of feel like Carolyn isn't a bad bet to go to the end now, for similar reasons as Cass. So, should she have? I mean, I think at that point, it's probably better to win and dictate terms, but maybe victory was not possible.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if the option is you're going home, or you can move up to 5th place from 7th place, move up to 5th.
Yeah, and then worry about that problem later. There's plenty of games left to play. Just last week, Will looked like he was in a terrible spot. I don't think he's going anywhere now, but I also don't think he's winning. I'm not worried about that call.
Nope.
Actually, and another thing is, maybe she just could tell that Kelly was as put off by Max and Shireen as the others were. And you don't go down with a sinking ship that you don't even want to be part of. About the piling on of how annoying they are. I don't think the edit was lying to us, because there apparently was a lot of footage they even left out. There was a lot of talk.
I choose to believe they were lying.
There was a lot of talk how annoying they are, but I think what was more going on is, well, A, they were annoying people, but B, is when you're in social situations like that, especially competitive social situations, which are, it's the easiest thing in the world to bond over is, hey, let's make fun of the people that are bugging us. And then you just keep piling on and piling on and piling on. And then every single thing that those people do becomes the worst thing ever. So it's like, if you liked Max, then, it's like you don't even think about the fact that, his injured warty feet were in the pot. You're just like, oh, poor Max.
Right.
They wouldn't have been upset at Joe for doing that, right? But they've just already decided that they don't like Max, probably also because there's an element of, the two even sides sizing each other up. So now it's totally horrible. Maybe Shireen singing in the morning wouldn't be so bad, but now that you hate her, it's just like there's hate. Not really hate, but like starving on an island hate. It's like,
right.
Oh God, I hate her so much. And it's just like there's once you kind of get in that hole, it's all near impossible to dig your way out of.
Right. You basically make a bond over being annoyed by the other people.
Yeah, and that's a great social technique, because if we go back to social game as a game, it's like if you're bonding with people over how much this person sucks, hopefully, that means they're not bonding with other people about how much you suck.
Right. They don't have time to, because they're spending all their time clearly giving confessionals about how much these same people suck.
Exactly. So I think, I don't think the edit was exaggerating, because I think people were actually saying it, but I think those people were exaggerating in the situation they were in, and they were probably also egged on by producers to, hey, say more about that. And I don't think you need to encourage, say, somebody like Jen that much to say, should talk people.
Yes.
So I think that was some of that was going on. But, about the swap. Swaps are a good thing for Survivor, but how do they keep messing this up?
Seriously, if it's a truly random draw, how does that keep happening?
Yeah, and I was gonna go back and do the math, and I'm like, come on, that's way too much work, and whoever wants me to do math. But just anecdotally.
I've seen your math.
Yeah,
we don't.
Oh my God. Just anecdotally, it seems like more and more it just leads to these ridiculously imbalanced tribes. So yes, Max brings up One World, and this is a safe space. You can talk about One World here. People won't judge you for it. Where it was like Colton and Jonas and the losers on one side and all the athletic people. Obviously, I brought up Karamoan. Cagayan wasn't as imbalanced, but it was still like LJ, Tony, Cliff, and Wu on one side. You had Blood versus Water, where it was like Sierra and all the men, and then Vetus and all the women. Like, it just keeps happening. And on its face, random is the most fair way of doing it, because there's no producer hand in that. But it's starting to show that randomness has a lot of tyranny in it, and it's a bad idea. What do you think?
Schoolyard pick, Andy.
Yes.
Has there ever been a situation where we've had a schoolyard pick in Survivor and you went, man, that sucked. I wish that hadn't have happened?
I think there's been schoolyard picks where people screwed it up, sure.
Sure. But did you ever say, like, I wish they didn't do the schoolyard pick?
No, I don't understand how they screwed that up. It's like, in general, in Survivor, their goal should always be, let's make the contestants make a choice. Let's force a choice. That's what the namesake of this podcast is all about. They went to Rocks to force choices. And then in this situation, they were like, no, we hated it when people were picking things and possibly causing hurt feelings. We don't want any of that drama. Let's just, and what is it? That it just doesn't play on television as excitingly as reaching into a bag does?
I don't know.
But yeah, it's just like, stop doing it. Because then what it does is it renders this part of the game until the merge not very interestingly. Last season, it was the same deal. Like, it wasn't as imbalanced as this, but it was still like, Dale and Missy and Keith on one side. So it's like, just stop it. Schoolyard pick all the way. I, at this point, would prefer if the producers just like, you know what, we're gonna shuffle you, like, pick, and force matchups like I did in our tournament, that we'll talk about later. But it's just like, yes, randomness apparently is the least interesting way to format a show. Who knew?
Yeah, and why deny us? Because it establishes a pecking order, which is always fun. Mm-hmm. You kind of see, who's picking who and why are they picking those people. Just think back to Panama, and one of the best parts of Panama is that disaster of a tribe picking to be with each other and somehow staying together. Exactly. I mean, again, when has the schoolyard pick failed you on Survivor? Never. drop the random swap.
If you want to enforce some kind of rules, like you have to pick, men have to pick a woman, or you have to pick somebody from the other side, or whatever, that's fine. If you want to make sure you got a good balance. But yeah, this randomness is no good. And if you're gonna do random, then why not, women random and men random, It's so you can at least balance it out. A show that makes sure to balance it, at the beginning, it's just kind of yeah, let's see what happens. I guess we should talk about that imbalance. Maybe I'm jumping ahead to the wrong spot here, but maybe the reason they don't is Probst loves nothing better than a tribe of almost all men.
Bro tribe.
Oh, yeah, so that's why he loves this season, huh?
Probably. Probst is obviously the fan of the man's man type tribes. So, like I said, when we started talking about Max going home and Probst loving this episode, this is kind of Probst's thing. He likes when all the manly men get together and make this some kind of alpha male battle. So, yes, in answer to your question.
Yeah. But even in that, doesn't he love it more when, men versus men doing manly battle, I'm just sure, in his mental bank at home, it's Rob Mariano and Colby going at it in that, judo, challenge and All-Stars, that sort of thing.
You accidentally said mental, and I think the word you were looking for was spank.
Family podcast. Cause it's what's the point of these next few challenges? Unless it's just all puzzles all the time?
So this is the thing that would make him happy is that, the manly men team up and decimate these women and the nerds, and then they get to duke it out.
Yes.
So this is why he's, very, how do I say this in a family podcast? He's very, yeah, exactly. Let's just throw a beep in there.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this, the first episode, and maybe interesting isn't the right, word, is Probst's generic, sexism was not even nearly close to the worst sexism that we got to engage in the first episode.
Holy hell.
He was the voice of reason. That's how bad it was.
It's gotten out of hand when that's the case, though.
Oh.
Well, let's start with Rodney.
What?
Because
we said nice things about him last week. I regret that more than turning this podcast into the
for the record
show.
I grudgingly said nice things about him last week.
Oh yeah, we hedged everything that we said, and in that very same episode I put him in the 0% club. So he very much is who we thought he was.
Oh god, yeah he is. I don't think we could be more right about Rodney. Although, to be fair, it's not like we were, uncovering some great mystery here. It was pretty easy to figure that one out.
We nailed it.
Yeah.
I think they knew too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like every season we have to have a discussion on sexism in Survivor because there's nothing better than two white men hashing this out.
Exactly. We're not even going to throw in a token Emma visit this time.
Yeah, we usually bring her in for this, but that almost feels like its own kind of sexism. This is the only time you get to speak, woman. Represent your gender, but remember, we hold you to a higher standard.
And we will edit out any parts we don't like.
So, we'll talk about it, but Rodney almost isn't even worth discussing because it's of course Rodney. I don't know if anybody's watching that. Well, no, sadly. I was gonna say, I don't think anybody's watching that is yeah, Rodney, but sadly, yes, there are people.
Well, no, there are, but I think you're right. I don't think anybody was watching that oh, Rodney, you really let me down. I had faith in you, No one is blindsided by that.
It's almost if all it was is Rodney, then, it's just oh, yeah, okay, cartoon character dumb guy is being dumb. But you combine Rodney with Dan, and yeah, they set gender relations back to, well, I guess 2015, because,
to the last season of Survivor, is that what you're saying?
Or just everyday life for women out there. Cause, wow, Dan... Before
we move on to Dan, can we just point out that Rodney mentioned hooking up with girls at a carnival?
We have to.
As soon as he says that, I'm picturing Rodney with these near toothless carnies, and I just feel a whole lot better. It made the night that much better. But hey, I bet that carny held herself to a higher standard. A higher standard that somehow counterintuitively allows her to hook up with Rodney, but a higher standard.
Oh, you know what? I bet not. I'm sure Rodney is very compartmentalized in his advanced thinking about women, in that he is allowed to have sex on the ones that don't hold themselves to a higher standard. But they can never be as great as his mom. Who knew he would get this much run out of Rodney's mom?
Oh, phrasing.
Maybe intentionally.
Do you think he says afterwards to the Carney girl, "Oh God, have some respect for yourself"?
Yeah.
After he's had his way.
I can't believe you let me force my way in. Oh no.
How great of a quote was that from Probst, by the way? I just put that on our Twitter and was like, okay, presented without comment. Probst, Rodney didn't even ask, he just forced his way in. So wrong, Jeff.
Yeah,
so wrong.
So, just so we put a bow on the Rodney discussion, in case it's not abundantly clear, everything he said about women and all that was complete BS. We do not endorse it for 1 second. Like, it's so antiquated and ridiculous that it's not worth discussing. I think
it feels bad even saying it ironically.
Yes. I think the more interesting part is Dan and how he thinks that how somehow he's this evolved thinker. And how men are like this and women are like this. And it's like, wow, it could not be more patronizing. Even just from the beginning, it's like, men talk to solve problems. Wow, that's a great way of saying that men do things right and women do not.
But did you know, though, Andy, that Dan has talked to so many more girls than Mike? Let's not take into account whether those women enjoyed the conversation or not, but so many more girls than Mike.
And I'm so glad you said girls, because that's all he would say. Oh yeah, when you talk to girls, he wouldn't even acknowledge it as women. Like, he has to infantilize it as the binary is men and girls. Do you think there's the reason why he took like 15 years to get on a show is that he constantly talked his way out of the show? Because it seems like there's a lot of that going around. It's just such dumb thinking, and more than that, like, was that the worst apology of all time with him this year?
To paraphrase his apology, I'm sorry if you're a pain in the ass, and you don't understand why I was justified in being an asshole to you. So, just accept my apology, okay?
Girl.
Girl.
Like, he was basically as bad as Rodney, just less overt about it. How about Mike? I mean, I'm in that tribe. He looks like, an evolved feminist, but...
Oh yeah, comparatively, he's like a women's rights activist or something.
But, there was undertones of it as well. How unfortunate is it that after all of this, after the show, I think fairly obviously was going to lengths to hang the lampshade on, Rodney's behavior, that they decide, well, that's okay though, we'll just vote out the girl anyway.
Yeah, again, that was kind of something I alluded to at the start of the show. It's like, how excited was Probst that the guys voted out the whiny lady. And let's talk about why Lindsay went home.
We will. I just want, from my notes, as it was happening, is Probst likes this season so much because it got back to the tradition of voting women out early. So That's kind of what I was feeling when Lindsay got voted out. But yes, so let's talk about Lindsay.
Okay. Do you think she was voted out because she stood up to Rodney?
No, I don't. It's really unfortunate that it went down that way. Certainly, I'm sure she feels that way. But I think it's because she was abrasive the entire time out there. Now,
right.
If we want to talk, there might be some, sexism involved in that. And that she doesn't get to say, like, she was nowhere near as abrasive as Rodney was. Rodney gets to get away with it. She does not. But, taunting Mike about his religion a few days ago, laughing in Dan's face when he's probably deserves it. I think those things had more to deal with it than, a disagreement with Rodney, because it felt like there were legitimate discussions about, maybe we should vote out Rodney. I think that was on the table. And then I think it probably just went to, it's like, but Rodney's useful and I don't really like Lindsay very much either.
Right, and it basically comes down to, I dislike both of them, but at least Rodney has some utility to me. I'll keep Rodney.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think it was the primary reason she was voted out, standing up to Rodney. But I think there is something to it.
Yeah.
Because when you stand up and say something, even when you're very justified in doing so, which she totally was, it makes you stand out as the person that's rocking the boat, which is total BS, but it's what happens. And we talked about One World already. Remember in One World when Colton and Alicia are just piling on Christina and being total pieces of shit to her, basically?
I do.
If someone else had stood up and said something there, I bet that person would have been the next person targeted, because the person who says something is perceived as rocking the vote. And I don't remember if Colton's appendix exploded before that next vote or not, but if it hadn't, whoever had said something probably would have been targeted. So it's like you're silenced by the
social pressures of the game, yeah.
Exactly.
No, and that is really unfortunate, and that's why, like, it's easy to point these things at sexism, and I think there's still some discussion to be had there, because again, Rodney was a bigger lightning rod than Lindsay, and Rodney is still in the game. But I think more of it is just people don't want the boat rocked. You know, they'll put up with even like a loudmouth like Rodney because they know how to handle him, but the person that's egging Rodney on, it's like, just stop, just make things calm, you know? The person that's egging Philip on, let's get rid of that person, you know? So it's the unfortunate side of social niceties and the social engineering of this game that doing something that's probably admirable in the real world, standing up for oneself, can be punishment. So then what do? You just sit there and take it?
Right, which is, you know, were you just going to make yourself miserable and hate yourself, basically be self-loathing the whole time that you're out on Survivor? It's not a great choice to make.
Yeah. But I will contend, like, if it was isolated to Lindsay going off on Rodney, I don't think it would have been a problem. I think it might have even worked in her favor, that it would have solidified the anti-Rodney sentiment that had been, you know, building up. But she did it with other people as well. And it's unfortunate. It's like, I think she was justified with Dan when he just kept talking to them like they were children while they were trying to build them, you know, in the first episode. And I am a fat guy. And, but you can't do that. Dan got to vote her out this time. Mike got to vote her out. And maybe if they would have went to tribal council 3 days ago, 6 days ago, it would have been fine because they would have voted out Dan. They would have voted out Mike. It's just the fluidity of Survivor, which is why you just never really want to make enemies. Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and, you know, complain in confessionals. And
Mike pretty much nailed it with the quote in this episode. He said, "You don't know who your true alliance is until Jeff reads the names at tribal council." And that's a great example of it, what you just said. Like, 6 days ago, this could have gone completely differently. Alliances could have broken in a completely different way.
Well, 6 days ago, it seemed like she was in Rodney's alliance, you know? Like, that's right. Survivor. And I don't even think it's like, it seems like. I think she was. And it's just like, probably. Yeah, until you go to tribal council, nothing's solidified. Nothing's happened. I think once you go to one, things are a little more solid. But yes. Yeah, it was all in a flux. And this is probably a discussion for another time, but it's kind of like why maybe going to tribal council once early, not the worst thing. You get your reps in and you can maybe, shuffle things out.
Basically establish the battle lines is what happens.
I mean, as long as you're not the person that goes home.
Right.
So they chose Lindsay over Rodney. Should they have? I mean, obviously we don't want it to happen, but
no.
I kind of like it.
But yes, I mean, on a purely rational level, the smarter move theoretically is to vote out Rodney, because without Rodney, seemingly at least, the remaining 5 would be pretty solid. But, I mean, you kind of hinted at this. We don't see everything that goes on, and I have a feeling that Lindsay had rubbed enough people the wrong way, and it was pretty clear that she was tight with Sierra and wasn't ever going to be completely on board with the other 3. So it's kind of like, alright, you know what? Screw it. We'll just have a solid 4 and have Sierra hating life. Fine, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'd say that it would have been the right move 3 days ago, 6 days ago. At this point, and this might be a big of a stretch or whatever, if you are a big fan of the show, and look, I mean, Dan watches it a lot, you should realize that strength in your tribe right now is probably not that important. And thus, maybe casting aside a Rodney isn't that big a deal. Because if the swap isn't happening tomorrow, it's happening soon. You are not, unless there's no swap. And in a 3-tribe season, there's a swap. So,
there's a swap every time.
Yeah. Production can't handle 3 tries for too long. So at that point, there's less collateral damage against voting out Rodney. Rodney had no other number 2 in the way that Lindsay did. Now, as you point out, that could be dangerous, but as the way things shuffled out, and I think the way that they might really end up shuffling out, you just made an enemy right before it was time to not make an enemy. And maybe you're counting on your amazing abilities to bring her back into the fold, in which case that was a stunningly bad miscalculation.
Right. At least you sent the wrong envoy for that.
Oh my god. And like at this point, like, you know, you just gotta feel for Mike. He knew it. He said it. He had it called. He just set the wrong person for the job. And you can say
he's like coaching him the whole time, like, but we're clear, right?
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna do. No, listen, bro, I got this.
And this is
I got it.
Yeah. I mean, even before that discussion, like, what is Dan doing when they're sitting over the fire? It's like, you sucked this time and you sucked this time. It's like, in my mind, she was hitting a good amount of baskets. She wasn't as good as Joaquin, but when he was calling her out for, like, almost making them lose the basketball challenge, it's like, did we see the same thing, Dan? And I think the answer is, I mean, clearly is no, we don't see everything, but also, I don't think we could ever see the way things, Dan sees things. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in terms of, you know, managing your tribe. Just like, we voted out one, and now we're just gonna completely ostracize you. And maybe this is like Dan's revenge for all the time they laughed in his face. But that was just terrible. So, like, in retrospect, knowing that how the swap shook out, but more in that, knowing that a swap is imminent, yeah, maybe you just cast aside the odd thumb in Rodney, because what if he ends up on the other tribe? Then his strength isn't very useful to you.
Exactly.
But ultimately, you know, it's one of those, might not be that big a deal. Or, you know, this could be the reason why they all get picked off, because of the wrath of Sierra.
Sierra on her own is going to take down the rest of the tribe, you're saying?
It could happen. It's happened before. Alright, so we've talked a lot about, you know, people who may have been a little disappointing heading into the season, and people we do not like. Let's spend a little bit of time with somebody who is awesome.
How about Jen?
There we
I'm
go.
assuming Jen must be the one you're talking about, yeah. Jen, she is exactly who I thought she was. Like, I can't be
you
mad at her.
nailed it. 1 out of 4, buddy. You got it.
Yeah. I can't be mad at her for voting, or for being a terrible person to Max and Shireen, because she's a terrible person. That's what I like about her. Like, she's my pet scorpion. I can't be mad when she stings someone.
It's just in her nature.
Hallie, though, on the other hand, Hallie, dead to me. But Jen, I mean, come on, this is what Jen does. This is what I wanted to see from Jen. I didn't want to see it towards Max and Shireen, but this is what I wanted to see from Jen.
And now she's got an idol.
Yes, and gets an idol by being a vegetarian.
This is the first time in recorded history that being a vegetarian has worked out in somebody's benefit.
Exactly.
Like, this is the all-time great excuse, for immunity, idol hunts, is, you know, not wanting to be a party to animal slaughter.
Well, speaking of which, why kill a hen first?
Oh my god.
Why not kill the rooster?
Like, I'm a city guy, through and through. I know that! You kill the rooster!
Yeah.
Were you hoping to make chicks?
Exactly. The rooster's not gonna do you any good. It's bigger, it has more meat, kill it first, it's not gonna give you eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some people were like, yeah, like talking as though they killed the rooster, but no, that clearly was a hen.
Nope, that was the hen.
Yeah.
I was disappointed though, and I said this on Twitter, but I was so disappointed that Jen had compassion for any living thing. And, weirdly, that compassion somehow benefited her game.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. You know, they like children, but they hate people. They like animals, but they hate people. It's like, the things that are blameless are cool with me, but everybody else can coast through. So I think that's what was going on there. But I guess the more important question is, does it become, Jen and Shireen fight for my love next week?
No. You know what's funny is I mentioned this in the post this week, that I had put all these, like, graphics and stuff together, because I get some of the posts done before the episode airs, because it's usually pretty long. So I made this
And also,
graphic.
I mean, you've already made up your mind of how the season's gonna go, like, you know, a month ago.
I already decided Max and Shireen were gonna be, 1 and 2, so what's it matter? But I made this graphic, and for the first time this week, I included Jen's face in there, just because there was, 3 faces to Photoshop, so I was like, that'll be funny, I'll throw Jen's face in. And I was like, oh, well, that was ominous. Totally came back to bite me there. Feel like I jinxed it.
Yes, that's what jinxed it.
But no, to answer your question, no. We're sticking with Max versus Shireen for my love. Jen and Mike will remain on the junior varsity.
Alright, until the bitter end. And
Yes.
speaking of which, it's time for the 0% Club. Are you just going to, just lash out in revenge against all that around you?
I was just gonna get to that. So, I mentioned earlier, I'm going down with the ship. I'm not going to put Shireen in the 0% Club. F*** you.
Well, good, because I don't want you stealing my thunder.
She practiced for Survivor by killing a bunny.
A rabbit.
How far down the checklist is that one? Like, number 1, fire. 2, shelter building. You gotta do like some spearfishing in there. Like, I have no doubt that she had some checklist, and 30 spots down is killing a rabbit, and she's the valedictorian type that just checked off every single box on her list.
Well, I mean, and that gets to my earlier point. I think you can be too much of a fan to do well on the show. That they had checklists and it was time to do all these things and consume them. And I think especially, Max and Shireen, their type A personalities, they over-prepared and they overthought things through, and they probably just had too much nervous energy, especially, dealing in that environment. Maybe they had, coffee or kale withdrawals or something like that. Whereas they should be more like you and I, who barely prepare for this podcast every week. Just freaking
exactly.
wing it, man.
20 minutes beforehand and we're good.
Alright, so who faces the wrath of John?
Well, I mean, this should be totally obvious. Carolyn, out of pure spite. Joaquin, out of pure hatred. And I'm very tempted. Should I throw in the third wet blanket?
I want you to, because I think he might win, so go ahead.
I have so many people saying to me like, oh wow, Tyler's looking great, isn't he? Looks like a winner. What has Tyler done that makes him look like a winner? And I got some ridiculous arguments made to me, and to which I say, Tyler, you're imagining him as a winner right now. He hasn't done anything that's so amazing, other than like some minor moves that basically everybody in this game has done, except for apparently the people that are getting voted out. Tyler's not so impressive. He's just, it's the Spencer thing from Cagayan. Like, he's just there and he's appearing in confessionals, so you're assigning him some sort of agency when he doesn't have any so far.
This is what Tyler's doing, and we're gonna have much more interesting and, heated Tyler discussions down the road, I think, because he's not going anywhere anytime soon. People are coming to him and just offering alliances and information. Those are positive signs. They are, oh my god, that guy's a winner signs? Because there aren't any of those yet. These are positive things. These are things that would help the people that you love that never happened.
To interrupt you, who is coming to him with these things?
First episode, Carolyn revealed her idol. Next episode, Joaquin revealed the clue to the idol.
Exactly. Okay.
2 people that are still in the game, John, versus 2 people who were hated by everybody who
Joaquin
played with them.
is coming to him. So f***ing what? If Rodney comes to you to tell you something, is that such a great deal? It's Rodney. This is the white collar equivalent of Rodney coming to you. Who cares? I'll give you credit for the Carolyn thing. Good for him for having a bond with Carolyn, and apparently it's a tight enough bond that people don't even know about it. So good. That is the one point that I concede about Tyler. He's got a bond with Carolyn. Great job.
He knows when it's time to shut up and let other people talk. Which is something that not everybody seems to know out there. So, are you doing it? You gonna put Tyler in?
I'm not gonna pull the trigger this week,
right.
But you're on notice, Tyler.
Okay.
Just because I so hate your wet blanket alliance that I'm very tempted.
Okay, so those guys didn't even vote them out. So how about all the other people that are annoyed by your beloveds?
I'm going to leave them all safe for this week. I'm going to give them one more chance to redeem themselves and turn it back around.
All right. So last week, I wanted to do it. I was prepared to do it, but I respect the 0% Club, probably because I've been so viciously burned by it. I think you need to wait until all the precincts have reported. And I do think that there's while this has been a fun gimmick for us, and I think people are into it, I think having the 0% club almost gets you into the point where you're just always constantly looking for reasons to write people off. And you look at the past winners of the show and, how many? Like a third of them we would have gotten wrong? Hatch, we never would have thought a guy like that could win anything like this, even if we didn't understand what this is. Jenna Maraska, apparently Tony Vlachos, people like that. And you can see the itching, the excitement for putting people in by what our friend Matt is doing in the post, where
Matt decided the whole blue collar tribe has got 0%.
Well, I just what's that guy gonna write about for the rest of the season? Who's left? So I exercised caution last week, and I was like, let's wait to see how the swap shakes out for Shireen. Maybe this isn't a Shireen problem. Maybe it's the Your Term Wet Blanket Alliance problem. I'm no longer prepared to say it was their problem because I've seen how other people react, and it's all the same. There's no way Shireen is winning this game.
I hate you so much.
She's 0%. If there was a number lower than 0%, at this point, Shireen's best option in this game, in this particular one, not that I think she's coming back anytime soon, would be to be a GOAT. Because the way that people respond to her is basically she's Philip Shepard without the nicknames.
I hate you so much.
And again, I think she'd be probably a cool person for us to talk to. All I'm saying is what's out there. I'm just keeping it 100.
It's 100, by the way.
Maybe where you're from. I tweeted that I was trying to find a line as to not totally ruin this podcast. I might need to look behind me for that one, but
yeah, I think you've crossed it, buddy.
So as soon as Shepard came up, and again, this isn't a judgment on her. This is a judgment on how her game has gone. And because it's such a tough thing, this is tough love. I'm just gonna leave it at her for this week.
You're singling her out just to throw salt in the wound.
Anything else it'd be like Lindsay getting eliminated the same week as Max. People just wouldn't hear it.
God, I hope Boston Rob comes back someday. I really don't, but at the same time I do, because every week will just be me finding reasons to pile on.
Hey, this is the 5th episode. You had your time. I did my due diligence. I held off as long as I could. But
in your defense, it's probably not a good thing that I'm discussing with my wife. Okay, well, maybe they offer them the chance to mutiny next week and Shireen, switches tribes. And then I'm going, oh, well, I don't know if she wants to be with Joaquin and Tyler again.
Exactly.
And
that's my point. That's why it's 0%, because it's I can see an instance where she becomes the Cochrane, even more so than she already is, in her situation, and she just destroys this other side. But it's who's taking her? Those people don't like her on the other side either, It's the only people that haven't, given a confessional, and it's oh god, Shireen talks too much, are the people that have not yet met her. And Max. And he's not in the game anymore. So it's just she dug herself into a hole. I bet, if she could do it all over again, she would chill out a bit. I'm sure she's not like this in real life. But contestant Shireen has 0% chance at winning. And I've thought of ways that she isn't the next person next week.
Oh, so did I. Just to be clear.
Yeah. We'll get to that, I guess. Let's do predictions now and then we'll close out with the last thing.
Sure.
Who's going home next week, John? Because I want to actually hear your mental gymnastics.
I already told you. I've decided to go full Liam Neeson in Taken mode, and I'm going to ignore all logic and reason and say, screw it, one of the wet blankets is going home next week because I demand justice, and I have decided it's the queen of the wet blankets. It's Carolyn going home.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's where you're headed, it almost have to be, because it's hard for me to imagine that tribe winning a challenge. You could say puzzles, but the other side's got Joe. He seemed pretty good at puzzles too. I'm not sure where they have an advantage. Just if maybe Rodney and Mike and the other meatheads just undo all of Joe's good work in a puzzle. I suppose that's possible. Yeah, I thought about it in that a smart move possibly would be, alright, Shireen and Max are neutralized. Shireen is a GOAT. She's not going to win. She's not a threat to win. So maybe you take out Kelly, to weaken any possible flip over to the other side. That would be a fairly cutthroat move, but ultimately, I think that they're itching to get rid of Shireen, and my pick is Shireen. I just, it's weird. Like, one of the reasons why I wasn't willing to commit last week to this prediction was it felt like the edit's almost like too obvious. Like, there's got to be another part here. You know, it's like they've just been for like 5 weeks showing us why Shireen's going to go home next, and it was never happening. So it's like maybe there's something more, and now it kind of feels like no, they just are really reveling in the fact that, you know, these two Survivor nerds are bad at Survivor, which also kind of leads me to the question. It's like, well, where would the hype come from? Where was all this hype from?
Hey, so now you're going to throw my hype man post
not
in
your
the
hype.
question here?
I mean the hype of this season.
Oh,
Because,
okay.
like, it's been a pretty straightforward thing so far. Person
Okay.
feels like they're on the bottom, person on the bottom goes. Like, there hasn't really been anything interesting so far to talk about.
But we kind of covered this last week. Like, it's early. Although now, you know, last week we weren't even a quarter of the way through the season. Now we're about a little over a third of the way through the season. So that's a little bit more of a legitimate point to bring up. But in general, in the best seasons, stuff starts ramping up when you get towards the merge, and then gets great after the merge. It's fairly rare that you're going to have a great pre-merge, and then continue to have a great season. So there's still plenty of time. I'm not worried yet.
I'm not, but it's just like, you would have hoped that, like, somewhere in these 5 episodes there would have been something we would talk about, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now. And I don't think there has been. It's been pretty straightforward. Like, the most...
I can think of 2 things. Max and Shireen.
Well, yes. I'm looking forward to many a fantasy draft where you shoehorn them into whatever concept we have. Sorry, Courtney Moon, you've been replaced. But I mean, basically, they're like the only that was kind of interesting thing to happen was Vince going home instead of Nina. Otherwise, it's kind of been like, hey, you know that person we've been telling you has been on the bottom of an alliance for several episodes now? Yeah, they're on the bottom of an alliance. They went home.
To put it in March Madness terms, it's been kind of a chalk bracket, is what you're saying.
Which could lend some to maybe it is a good post-merge game, because maybe one of the issues of last season was anybody who could have been good at the game was either taken out pre-merge or right at the merge, and then we were just left with a bunch of dunderheads flipping around.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, there's still time. My man Joe is still in it. I'm good. But yeah, I think they just vote out Shireen. They want to do that. And also, last season, we saw what happened when you don't finish business. They took out Jeremy, and it's like, okay, Natalie, hang around. And Natalie won. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but Shireen's existence in the game might be far more dangerous than Kelly's.
But to be clear, there's no way that the people playing in this season would have seen last season.
Oh no, it's just in general. Last season we were talking about this.
Yes.
Once you start, don't stop. don't leave somebody around.
Phrasing.
I
am a little disappointed that you didn't take the bait on my, chalk bracket transition there though.
Yeah, so last week we said we were going to launch an Ultimate Survivor bracket. We have done so, and I'm reasonably proud of what we were able to put together.
Especially considering the time frame that we threw it together in, it was a pretty collaborative effort too. I mean, there was 4 of us to start with. We brought in 2 more to help us with some writing stuff on a last minute gig. And then, we got at Sil Visual. Man, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but, we've plugged him on Twitter a few times. He did the graphics for us, and I love our graphics. I think it fits so well with what I had envisioned this being, and I'm assuming you too. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want.
Yeah, no, like when we were first discussing the idea, we figured we'd put some of our terrible hack job or whatever.
Yep.
And then, he was like, hey, can I help out? It's like, hey, this guy's a visual artist. Let's do this. And it exceeded our expectations. So thank you very much. And it almost looks like we're like a legit operation here with all this stuff.
I know. Makes us look like we know what we're doing.
And I mean, more than that, like, I think this is fun. This is what us Survivor nerds do when, we're not putting people off in our general vicinity with talking about Survivor. This person versus that person. Who's better? Who's that? So.
What's your favorite matchup we've got going so far?
I mean, I talked about it last week, and it still is. Like, I still think Chris and Danny is a killer matchup, and I'm just gonna, if you have not yet voted yet, just consider, find it in your heart, that maybe, Danny Boatwright deserves to beat Chris Daughtry. Maybe we can let one or two brackets where the woman beats the man. No, that's not quite fair. There are one or two.
Actually, I want to bring up another one where there's currently not a woman beating a man, and
this is definitely the exciting one.
So, yeah, we've got one other bracket where the woman's not being the man, and that is the Courtney versus Todd matchup. How are you people not voting for Courtney? I mean, yes, Todd won, and Courtney did not. But who doesn't love Courtney, especially amongst our followers? Come on, people. There's like 20 votes separating them. They're so close. At least when I checked this afternoon, there was. Vote for Courtney. You said they should vote for Danny. I'm saying we should vote for Courtney. Oh, look, we're making up for Survivor sexism this week by encouraging some votes for women.
I voted for Todd. But it wasn't easy. And I'll say that actually happened a few times. And I think there's like people who's like, oh, wow, like Vetus is getting destroyed by Denise. And you know what? He should.
Rightfully so.
I like Vetus. I wouldn't have minded voting for Vetus, but, you know, not against Denise, and probably, frankly, not against anybody who would have matched up against. At the end of the day, he was, you know, second or third post-merge boot.
Right.
So, yeah, so he had to be a lower seed. But, sorry, the one I thought you were going to talk about, this is the one that all eyes are on. Everybody should watch.
Yes, and this is the one I wanted to mention besides the one that I plugged.
Russell Hantz versus Natalie White. So I put Russell Hantz as a number 2 seed because I do think that his footprint in Survivor is undeniable. And frankly, you put him up there because it would be unfair to anybody else to put him lower. And I also thought it'd be really fun to pair him up against Natalie because, you know, it's been a discussion since it happened. Oh, he was robbed. And then I think discussion has turned around. It's like, he wasn't robbed for nothing. He sucks at that helmet and nobody would vote for him. I still thought he was gonna win fairly handily. And instead, like this afternoon, it was a 1 vote difference.
1 vote margin. It's insane. You know what's weird? And I've learned this very recently. I didn't realize this was happening. You're right. People have come around on the fact that Russell pretty much sucks at Survivor other than, you know, 1 or 2 elements that aren't the most crucial element. But I did not realize that there was this bizarre groundswell for Natalie as some crazy mastermind type. I don't know where this came from.
What deep, dank corners of the internet are you visiting?
Well,
that actually
I can tell you which one because we got a lot of traffic from there, so I was like, oh, I'll see what's going on over here.
And again, this isn't snobbery. Thank you for everybody who Reddit has come along. If you're listening to the show, welcome. That's kind of one of the goals of this tournament is to expose people to us. I would say that's probably a mixture of overcorrection and the internet's general tendency towards contrarianism.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I somehow didn't expect it.
That said, I don't know if that's everybody who's voting for her. I think there also is probably a healthy contingent of Russell Hantz, and I can support that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And like, when we set this up, you and I had the discussion. What are the criteria? And, you know, because that's the way you think. You know, it's like, I want to vote with, you know, smart reasons and all that. And
I want rules.
Yeah, and my point was like, no criteria. Like, let's give it as vague a name as possible because we can't enforce criteria. If we said that this was the best Survivor player ever, you'd still get many scenarios where a lesser Survivor player is going to beat somebody because they like him. People are going to vote the way they want to vote. I think it's more interesting. So yes, if you hate Russell Hantz and this is your chance, however small, to once again make him lose to Natalie, go for it. I'm finding it hilarious. I frankly can't remember which way I cast my vote.
I don't either.
So, yeah, and if you vote for somebody because you think they're the better player, great. If you vote for somebody because you think they have the greater, you know, impact on the game of Survivor, great. I find myself, it was a mix. You know, I might have like a primary thing, but sometimes it's a wash, and then you go to the next thing. What was your criteria typically for voting? Just out of curiosity.
I think I'm much like you. I just kind of went by gut feeling, like, if I had to pick between these two people, that's basically what I went on.
Yeah. And like, frankly, another reason why I didn't want it to be, let's name the best survivor, because that'll be our job in a later podcast.
We're keeping that one in the chamber.
That's right. And then we'll have more fun Max and Shireen discussions, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and we should point out that you did shoot down my idea of having Max and Shireen as number 1 seeds in this bracket.
And you're welcome, P.S.
In hindsight, maybe that might have been a wise decision.
Yeah, nobody from season 30, because we were setting this up in like 2 weeks in. I'm like, at this point in Cagayan, we would have been like LJ Sarah, and that would have never touched Tony Spencer. So, yeah. I think it's good. It is wise to at least let a season play out. But yes, everybody visit our website if you have not yet voted. It's lots of fun. It's purplerockpodcast.wordpress.com. The polling for the first round will be ending on Sunday, and then we will start the round of 32 on, I believe, Tuesday. Does that sound right?
Okay. Yeah, we'll have a results post up on Monday and let you know who the matchups are going to be. And then the voting for round 2 is going to open on Tuesday, let's say noon-ish Eastern.
Yes. And yeah, it'll just be kind of like that, probably until the beginning of April. And we will crown a winner, and it'll be it should be lots of fun.
Yeah. And if you have any comments about the brackets that we have going on, you can email us, purplerockpodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us @PurpleRockPod.
That's generally John. I will sign my posts more often than not if it is me. You can also follow me at Andy_Sayers. I will say that I don't really write a lot about Survivor there because, as I discussed earlier, I know how discussing Survivor in mixed company doesn't always go over well.
The dangers of having a personal Twitter account, Andy.
Hey, you don't even have your own account.
I do not.
I'm reserving all my Survivor talk to the Purple Rock podcast. But no, I mean, especially if you guys want to reply me or whatever about Survivor, I'd love to have that discussion. Just never while it's on. I am a later time zone and I don't even watch it live then.
Yeah, and to be clear, enough of our followers know that that's you because I saw people egging you on this week. I follow Andy too from our account people. I saw you guys doing it.
That's right. Save that for the DMs. Slide into my DMs if you want to. But next week, it should be another good show. It won't be 2 hours worth, so maybe this one won't be an hour and a half's worth. But, thank you for listening. And anything else, John?
Nope, let's hit the theme music.
That's what it's like when a woman wants a baby.